Hey everybody, I'm back. It's been a while. I thought I would give an update. I spent the last month in the hospital. Almost died multiple times. Somehow, I'm still around. Uh, so before I get into, it's been so long that before I get into, everything that happened over the last month and all the health issues, I just wanted to kind of talk about what I've been doing for the past 2 years or ever since I did the last video. And yeah, just give an update of how I changed my life after, the cancer sickness and all that, and all the issues I had at the time, and some of the experiences I've had. So I guess I'll start with over the past 2 years. Let's see. Well, the first thing is started a company, me and my wife and two of my siblings together, and Faucet Incorporated, basically. We incorporated here in Germany, and I'll show some pictures of that. But my wife had an idea for an app, a makeup app for women, and so we built that. It's up now. I'll show here. I'll show some pictures of how that kind of works and how you can use it.
So this is the app we built, my wife and my brother, and with our new company. It's called tidyvanity. And here we are logging in, and we're going to the vanity. And this is where Anna or anyone can store their makeup products. They can edit them, they can add them, they can set the price to see how much they spent on their makeup products. They can filter the products by brands, and they could say, I want to see the products in my makeup that are expiring. Here, those are expiring products. She's removing the filters. And then you can go in and search through your makeup to find, ones that match a particular name. And then when you're through with that, you can look at the statistics of your usage of all the different makeup products. So here, when she clicks on a skin concealer, she can see that, for 2024s, she has a total of 14 in her vanity and 7 are opened. And she can look at how many products she used each day and the last month, etc.
Um, and then so that's kind of on the work side of things. Well, also on the work side of things, fairly recently, a couple months ago, I left my previous job. It was time. I was able to work with amazing people. I was really lucky to have to do work on top things that I love. Work in data and in programming and with amazing people. But it was just time to go, like it is. Everything has its time, and then it's time for the next thing. And I got a new job with a insurance company here in Cologne, uh, doing reinsurance, which is a completely new area for me. Um, but yeah, I've only been there a short time, but so far I can say, extremely intelligent people, mathematicians, PhDs, and not just intelligent, but also, really personable, nice people, pleasant to be around. So, again, very lucky in everything that my job and career has brought my way. And let's see. So that was starting the company, my new job, and the app we built. Tidy Vanity is what it's called. Tidy Vanity is the name. We spent a lot of time working on the name, but pretty happy with it. So what else did I do? Well, when I got out of the hospital, I spent so much time in the hospital that I just wanted to do so many activities. I just wanted to get outside, sports, do anything. And so I really got into weightlifting. And I'll put some of the stuff up on the screen, but I somehow I found this book on strength training, and so I started getting into trying to get strong. And one of my what motivated me was just seeing how much weight could I get up. How strong could I get? I wasn't necessarily that interested in building up tons of muscle. I mean, as a side effect, I ended up gaining about 20 kilos total over the 2 years, which I lost 13 in the last month, so it's pretty much all gone now. But yeah, so I was able to reach some pretty, decent weights. I got up to squatting. I'll show the videos because I actually took videos of some, well, at least of some of these. So I was able to squat over 400 pounds, which is like 180 something kilos.
So after my first year of training, I was able to do 170 kilos in the squat. And then it started getting really difficult. And it took me a whole year to add 13 kilos. And this is when I was on vacation in the US. I went train with my brother Josh, and I hit this to 183.
I was able to bench press 300 pounds, which is about 130 something kilos, and deadlift 205, which is over 450. So that was pretty interesting considering I hadn't lifted weights in years, and it really for me was just a overall enjoyable experience to see that progress from week to week as you're getting stronger, as you're building up more muscle, as you set like tiny little goals, and then you achieve them. I mean, it took me almost a whole year of training the second year to get up to that 300-pound bench press. I was like 280 for so long, and a whole year of daily consistent training for just 20 pounds at the end of the day. But it's such a great feeling when you achieve such a long-term goal like that.
So here's me hitting a bench of 120 kilos. And the reason I'm showing these is not to show, like, oh, look at me, look how great I am, look how strong I am. It's just to show that, I was incredibly weak after the chemo and after get out of the hospital. I could barely even bench like 60 or 135 pounds. Here I am repping out 10 barbell rows. And, with dedication and effort, I was able to, get this far and build up a lot of muscle and strength. And so if I could do it, shows you that, pretty much anyone can do it. If you have enough desire and discipline, you can get out, you can live life, you can get fit. Here's me doing a chin-up. So I did weighted chin-ups. So I was able to get 35 kilos in this video. Now I was able to get more with a lot of these weights, not a lot more, but I think I've hit 40 kilos on the chin-up. And here's, 40 kilos on the dip. But I just don't have those on video. Like I said, my best bench press I also hit in the U.S., and that was, right at 300 pounds. I think it was slightly under, actually, 299 something pounds. And so here's me dunking, so I got back and jumped a little bit and got back to where I could dunk. And then I started training my wife. She started working out with me, and she started getting really strong. I mean, this is 75 kilos right here on the deadlift, and look, she pulls that up like it's nothing, she's hit 80 before too since then. Nice. So look, pretty excited. That took a while to get that.
I also joined an Olympic weightlifting club, which is a totally different way to train and lift with weights. I got into bouldering and rock climbing. In the winter here in Cologne, we have an ice skating ring. And so me and my wife, we bought us some ice skating shoes, and I learned to ice skate, which was fantastic. I love ice skating. I could probably spend hours doing it. Time flies. It's perfect because you have like a ring, and you can it's almost like taking a walk. So me and Anna can just go around the ring and talk and ice skate, and it was fun. The first time we were just falling down nonstop, the first couple times probably. And by the end of the winter, I could kind of move around, do some circles, and go pretty fast. I only fell down a few times. I started spending a lot more time, just like I said, going out. So, and also spending time with friends and colleagues from work. I was able to make some really good friends, and spent, time hanging out with them. We would go rock climbing together, or play basketball in the park and stuff like that. And I also discovered saunas. So before, at a lot of these gyms and like rock climbing places, they'll have like saunas. So I started going into the sauna after I worked out, found out I loved like hot Finnish saunas. And then, me and Anna discovered, and then looking around, we discovered like places in Cologne, which are like these, I guess, spa resorts. So where you go and it's like a pool, and then you can get, well, at the one we really like, which is in Euskirchen, so it's here maybe like 30 minutes outside of Cologne. There you can like swim around in a pool. It's got beaches. You can get cocktails like in the pool while you're swimming around. Then they have a whole sauna area where you can go into like these different theme saunas. So like an extremely hot like 90 degree Celsius sauna, like, I don't know, a Viking theme, and then they'll have like a 60 degrees Celsius, which is much cooler, and it'll be, I don't know, like peppermint, minted. And then they have ice baths and ice water that you can jump in afterwards. And so we've been there in the winter and the summer, and it's just so much fun. We love it. The food's great. The price is amazingly cheap for where it is. And then we found another place here in Cologne it's also similar. It doesn't have the pools and stuff, but it has like a sauna, whirlpools in it. So we've been, we discovered all that, and kind of got in. I'm into the sauna thing now. So
So this is the Euskirchen sauna resort place that me and Anna found, and we just absolutely love it. So this is when you come in, you do your check-in. And then here is like the Palm Resort main pool area. So, you can see there's these places in the pool where you can sit and get your drinks and you can swim around, and there's whirlpools here on the side. You can order, a coffee or cocktails here in the bar in the water. You can go swimming around. Now, these are like salt or different mineral pools. So there's different types of water and minerals. It's kind of like a supposedly healthy for your skin or whatever. And so you can go and lay in these. This is where you can get, food here. And surprisingly, the food is delicious at this place. Here's another view. And there's like these little places you can sleep and rest, or you can, get some food and go eat at one of these tables. And now that's the swimming area, but they also have saunas. So this is one of the saunas. You can see it's gorgeous. So you can look out into water and pools as you're sitting here in the sauna and getting warm. And then here's like a light sauna. And all these saunas have like different smells and different types of water they use, and they're different temperatures. For instance, this is the Apollo sauna, and it's, extremely hot. This is sort of a tropical one. This is more just like maybe 60 degrees Celsius, so which is actually fairly cool for a sauna. Here's the Taj Mahal. The one I really like is this one. It's like, and they'll do also every couple of hours, they'll have like these guided sauna tours where the people come in and they pour steam on the rocks and they like chant and sing songs, and then take towels and will blow the steam and water on you. And it's like a whole experience. And after that, you can go in, and they have these ice pools and ice baths that you can jump in. I'm trying to see if there's an image of one here right now. No, these are all that. So you can tell there's like different things. This is the Alhambra. So there's just completely different themed saunas all over the place, and you can try them all. And everyone, okay, so here's like the ice bath. This is ice water that falls down. Here you can get into an ice bath. Here in the corner, there's like actual ice you can get and put on yourself. Then they have sort of these other wellness rest areas. Here's another cafeteria where you can grab something to eat. And they also have just a regular swimming pool with diving boards and stuff like that. So this is where we go. We hang out in the resort. There's also an outdoor beach, which it's not showing right now. But they have beaches outside where you can also get cocktails laid around. They have paddle boats you can use. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. So we love it, and that's the Euskirchen sauna that we go to.
we went on vacation to visit my sister out in Seattle, and went in these gorgeous mountains. My sister, she planned the whole trip and everything. And I dove into some of the coldest water. We were driving up the mountains, and you could see water running down the mountains. And it was ice that was melting from like the snow-top mountains. And we got up there to some just crystal clear lake water. And we went out on a bridge and jumped in. And as soon as we went in, we came up. And I remember looking to my right, and I forget who jumped in with me. It was, I forget. I think it might have been my sister. I'm not sure. And someone else, I think. But they were immediately heading to shore. And I really wanted to snorkel, So I brought my goggles with me because the water was so clear. And I wanted to dive down and swim. So I tried going back down, but I made it maybe like, 10 feet, not even 10 feet, probably 5 feet, about 2 meters, and immediately started getting like brain freeze. The water was so cold. And so I had to head up, and then I torqued it to the nearest beach and got out. But, I still got back in. There was a lot of people there. It was like kind of a swimming place. And I think they were making fun of me. They were like, They were calling me something, and I didn't care. I almost died, so I could care less if someone makes fun of me. So they were like, "You trying to find treasure or something?" I was like, "Yeah," and I put on my goggles and went down and kept trying to go in. But it was just absolutely gorgeous. And so we did that, and then we went back and visited my family. And then the second time, this was just recently, a couple months ago, my brother got married, and we went to his wedding, and I was able to be there and experience all that. Anna's sister got married. I was there. That was right after, I'd gotten out of the hospital and was still kind of weak and everything. But I was able to be there for that and enjoy that. And if I remember correctly, we had beautiful weather. Anna's grandmother is getting really old. I want to tell a story about Anna's grandma because she's such a sweet person. I mean, not only is her food delicious, and every time you go there, you're smothered in like the most delicious food ever. But when Anna and I were about to get married, she took us to a shop in Dunsig where she had some old jewelry, and she gave it to the jeweler there, and he helped make our rings. And that is something that was so kind and so lovely of her grandmother, and I'll never forget it. Um, yeah, it just makes me cry thinking about it. But anyway, her grandmother is getting old, and so we started visiting her every year now. And the last time we were there, we rented a car. We were able to spend time with her grandma, talk to her, get smothered in all the delicious Polish sweets, go to the beach. It was just amazing. So we've had so many trips like that, and where we've taken the time, to spend time with family and friends, with one another, and experience, all the beautiful things out in the world.
So this is an example of what I'm talking about, just about living life. For Anna's birthday, we went to a Polish restaurant, ordered delicious food. I got her flowers. We dressed up. We got delicious ice cream desserts, pierogi, amazing fries and chicken. Just had fun.
Yeah, I guess that's the update of kind of what I've been doing over the past 2 years. I mean, there's other things as well. I love mathematics, so I've continued studying that at the university. Just part time, of course, here and there. But I won't go into much detail on that. I don't want to put everyone to sleep. Now, getting to like the recent health thing. So I guess I'll start at the beginning. What happened was I had like stomach issues, and I had like diarrhea for about a week. And on that Friday morning, it looked like I had blood. There was blood in the toilet. So I went to my doctor, and he ran some tests, and he's like, "Hey, if anything, if it gets worse here, go to the hospital." And so I went back home, and I'm at my new job, but I was working remotely from home that day. And so I was in a call with my boss and another guy, and then I started just feeling like I had to vomit. And so I got up, went to the bathroom, and threw up. And then there it was just pure blood that I had thrown up. And now this is something that they had told me. So for the past 10 years, I have a portal vein thrombosis in my liver, and that was diagnosed in 2015. And at the time they told me that I had that forever. I just hadn't noticed it. And anyway, over the past 10 years, every time I have to go to the doctor in these regular checkups, there's a danger because of this disease or whatever, that veins in your stomach and your body will burst and you'll bleed. So what they've always told me for 10 years, they're like, if you ever throw up blood, you should immediately go to the hospital. So, I just threw up a ton of blood. And so I went back to the call and was like, "Hey guys, I'm having a medical emergency here." And so I got to go. Then I called, the ambulance, and I will say they were immediately, I said, "Hey, I've got these, they're called, I'm not sure in English, I think it's varices or something like that. Anyway, it's the veins." And so I said, "I have this problem that veins will bleed," and they, immediately knew what it was, and so sent the ambulance. And I grabbed my backpack, went out the door to the little curb here in front of our apartment, and they were there within like a minute or two. And it seemed like a minute, like they were immediately there. So they put me in the ambulance and then took me to the hospital. And then they took me immediately to the emergency room. This whole time, I'm like kind of still feeling sick in the stomach. When I'm in the emergency room, I threw up blood again. And the next thing I know, they're taking me directly into the radiology department and put me in to sleep to go in and try to figure out and try to plug up some of those holes. So I wake up, they say, okay, we think we were able to stop the bleeding, this whole time basically. So from the time I started throwing up, I threw up the blood, to even waking up again in the hospital after they had, repaired the vein. I'm basically like pooping blood and then throwing up blood. So now I'm not throwing up blood anymore. When I wake up I'm in the intensive care unit, the ICU, but I'm not throwing up blood, but I'm still pooping blood every like 30 minutes or something. So I think the next day, like in the morning or night or something, I started getting that vomiting feeling again, and I throw up, and again it's blood everywhere. It's getting the puking feeling, having to throw up blood. So the same thing, they do the same thing again. They're like, okay, well, we must have missed something. They take me back down to the radiology people, put me to sleep, and then they come back, and this time they tell me, you had bleeding in your stomach that we didn't notice the first time. And so a vein had also burst, not only in my esophagus, but also in my stomach. And they closed that. And that seemed to help. I was still pooping blood, but it was not incessant after that and for the days after that. And I didn't have that vomiting feeling anymore. So then that was on like the Saturday morning. And then, my wife helped me write a letter the Sunday to Bonn, which is, it's a university here in a city next to Cologne, where actually those are all the doctors that have been like taking care of me. So when I go do my checkups and everything, they're the people who took care of me during all my cancer treatments. So I know all the doctors there. And so we wrote a letter and said, hey, here's where I'm at. I'm at this hospital, St. Vincent's, and they were wonderful. They saved my life multiple times there. But now it was at the point where I'm still like wasn't healthy. Clear it was probably going to happen again. And so they had to do something. They had to do something to say, okay, well, there's so much pressure in your stomach, which is what happens when you have the thrombosis in this portal vein, which is what I have, that they knew they were going to have to do something. But they didn't know what to do, because with me, it's a chronic issue, and there's no more portal vein left for the normal surgery they do for people. So anyway, we wrote this letter to Bonn asking them to take me so that I could go there. And basically the next week, I forget what day it was, it might have been Wednesday or something, they transferred me from the hospital here right next to our house to Bonn. And in Bonn, once we all I remember from that trip is, this whole time I'm kind of like drugged, super weak. Still, I think I'm pooping blood the whole time. Like maybe not, just anytime I go to the bathroom, there's still blood. So on the way to Bonn though, I remember I was talking to the guy sitting next to me. He's like a young guy. And we just talked the whole time about like why he was doing the service that he had signed up for. He was in his internship phase. And so that went really quick. And they took me there. They're just, really nice people. The hospital here, everyone, the nurses. And anyway, so then I get to Bonn and they're like, okay, well now they had a plan for how they're going to stop all this pressure that's building up. And they said, we're going to do it Wednesday of the next week after that. So it's been like a week and a half now. I'm in Bonn. They figured out kind of what they're going to do. And what they decided to do was put in a shunt, basically, that goes through my spleen to the liver. And that's supposed to relieve some of the pressure. So the blood now can just directly flow to the liver instead of being backed up in these other tiny little varices or veins that can burst. So that was the plan. Well, what happens is Sunday night, so it's scheduled for Wednesday. So now it's Sunday night. And everything I experienced before starts happening again, but even worse. So I'm laying in bed, feeling some pain in my stomach. I ask for a painkiller. The nurse comes in. She gives me an ibuprofen. I take that. And I'm sure I was bleeding internally and everything else at this point. But it just made me feel so sick in my throat that I just started vomiting blood. So, well, I didn't know it was blood at first. So, because it was late at night. It was dark. So I get up and there was like a little sink next to my bed. And I go to the sink and I throw up. And I throw up multiple times. And then there was so much of it I could see in the dark that I washed some of it down, And then I was like, this is probably blood. So I try to turn on, eventually I figure out like where a light is, turn on a light, look down, yeah, and sure enough, it's blood all over the place. So then I ring the nurse, go back to bed, tell her, okay, I just threw up blood. And then a doctor comes in And this is the part where I start losing a little bit of the memory about what happens. So what I remember is the doctor comes in, she looks at me, they give me a bag, and then I'm just throwing up blood. And then now also, and I'm just, every maybe 15, 20 minutes. Then I also feel in my bowels that I'm going to start having to poop blood. So I tell the nurse, I'm like, hey, can you get me one of these? They have these, uh, basically, if you can't walk around and they have to have you on the bed, which is what they told me to stay, they have this chair you can like sit on and poop. So they get that for me. I'm pooping blood there and throwing up. So basically, I'm sitting there pooping blood, throwing up here. And then the nurses are like, I can tell the one doctor's on the phone trying to call the other doctors because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. I don't know how late it is. And then they give me some more, my stomach's hurting pretty bad at this point. So they give me some more painkillers and shoot me up with things to make it so I'm not vomiting as much. Probably something to also keep me from bleeding as much, I'm guessing. I don't know. They start putting a bunch of things in me. At some point, the doctor, but this has taken a while though. Like for me, it feels like this has been like an hour now. So maybe it was 30 minutes, maybe it was 15 minutes. I don't know. It feels like it's a very long time. So I remember, because at one point I remember sitting there and I was talking to the nurse who was working, and we were talking for a long time because she was supposed to sit there and watch me. That's what the doctor told her. And so, I found out she had a boyfriend in Canada, and, she was thinking about moving to Canada, but he was in the military, and then he didn't really want to go to Germany, but then maybe he would. And I don't know, we were just talking about life and what she wanted to do and everything. And that was a pretty long conversation, actually. But anyway, at some point they come in, they say, okay, now that operation we're going to do Wednesday, we have to do it now. And it's like, I don't know, 3 a.m. At this point, I'm starting to get a little dizzy because I've been throwing up blood the whole time. And they didn't have any blood, something about they have to make the blood for you or something, or they have to make sure it's ready for you. So they didn't have any of that for me. So the doctor, I remember her saying, okay, we got to immediately put blood on him. So I wasn't getting any blood or anything else. Anyway, now they lay me back down on the bed, or maybe I've been laying on the bed a little bit. And then finally, I guess I'm ready to go to do the surgery. So they start wheeling me down to like the operation room. And this is the point where I start losing memory because at this point I'm sweating profusely and my arms are starting to hurt. And I'm still throwing up blood and pooping blood the whole time. And now they wheel me into the room. I remember that. And I look around and now I can't see anything. So I'm starting to black out. Like I know people, and I think they were asking me things, but I couldn't even respond. And it was at this point where I thought, okay, I'm actually going to die now. Because when you're looking around, they can't hurry. And it didn't seem like they were hurrying because they have to prepare everything correctly. All the machines have to be set. All the medications have to be the right amount. And I just remember looking around and they were doing everything the way orderly, the way you should do it. But I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to die here in about 10 minutes. And I don't know if they're going to be finished with all this in 10 minutes. And that's the way, at least it felt in my head. I don't know how close I was. I know afterward, days later, I asked one of the doctors and he said I was really close to being dead. And that's the way it felt to me. But in that moment, it didn't feel bad. Well, let me put it this way. I was like, okay, that's the end. And I was okay with it. I was like, okay, it's peaceful. I, have done a lot in my life. I didn't have any real deep thoughts about it, but I didn't have any regret. When I first got the few times thought I was going to die with cancer, I was like filled with feelings of regret and things I wish I'd done. So I think that's a good indication that everything I've been doing over the past 2 years was kind of how I should have been living my life, at least for me, But anyway, so I'm blacked out now, basically. I remember them putting something on my face, and then that was it, blackout. Next thing I remember, I guess they've woken me up now, and they said, we got to do another surgery on you. And I'm just like, ugh. And then blackout again. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm in the ICU in Bonn. I'm still kind of like dreary, drowsy, probably drugged up, don't really know what's going on. And I was in the ICU there for, I don't know, maybe a week, maybe a couple days, who knows. It's all blended, but we're in like the third week, 2.5 weeks I've been in the hospital at this point. And the whole time I haven't really been able to eat anything or do much because I've just been, like I said, just like pooping blood and not, in pain and all this other stuff. But anyway, I'm in the ICU and then there for a week or whatever. Then they send me back to my regular station. I start feeling a little bit better and then they go in to do a check. Now, one thing this whole time is I had been having like lots of stomach pain. So I've been taking medication for the stomach, like painkillers for the stomach pain. But other than that, now in like the third week or whatever, I'm feeling okay, not too bad. I can kind of get up, walk around. So then they say, okay, well, you've had the surgery. You seem to be kind of stable. They're doing blood measurements every day or whatever. We're going to go back in and see, just make sure everything's okay. But we think, you'll be fine. We think you're fine, but we just need to go check. So I go down and they go in to check, black me out again. Next thing I know, I'm waking up. There's like a plastic thing over my whole body. And they're like, you were bleeding. We need to do another surgery. And this surgery was, unfortunately, I wasn't knocked out for this surgery. So you have to be awake during it. And they have so basically what they do is they go into your veins with a wire. And then they like clamp up where it's bleeding. And the way they figure out where it's bleeding is they shoot in something, I think, in your veins. And then they take x-rays. And so it shows up where your veins are. They can see all your veins and they can see where it's bleeding in your veins. And then they go in with wires and basically fix all the places where it's bleeding, and where veins are bleeding, they'll just like tie them off or whatever. And so they do that. And it's like 2 hours of them just, going down my neck. You can probably see some of it. I've still got like some places in my neck where they went in. And then they go in also in your like inguinal region, like in your crotch, basically. And they go in there and go up with a wire around your stomach. It's definitely not the most pleasant thing. I wouldn't recommend it. But anyway, so they do that. Then I come out. Then I'm in the hospital a couple more days, maybe like another week. And they've been testing blood this whole time. And my blood values are finally getting a little better. I still couldn't eat anything though. And that's why I lost all this weight. That's why I lost like 30 pounds basically. Is because, basically all I could eat was this runny soup, which I'll show a picture of it. Which I really couldn't eat a lot of times just because it just tasted so horrible. And then I would get like a few little things of yogurt. And then some of the nurses, I would be like, hey, I'm starving. And they would bring me some more yogurt. And my wife would bring me sometimes like yogurts or puddings or like a drink that, like what do they call it? Like liquid food type drink, that has some calories in it. So I was still getting some of that stuff. But anyway, so then they take my blood values. They also did an MRT or MRI on my spine because I'd had like some pain in my back. And because I had lymphoma before, they want to make sure, hey, that's okay. I don't know what the results of that are. But I still need to do, I'll figure that out in a couple weeks. But anyway, they let me out. So that's like at the end of all that, that's the long story. But at the end of it, they let me out. I'm finally back home. I was able to eat. Now I'm able to eat very, light foods, obviously not chips and hard meats and all that kind of stuff, but at least something that's like a legitimate food, like a potato or something, as long as it's mashed up and some eggs, but still, that's a major upgrade. Anyway, I'm finally back home, able to function. I'm able to walk around. I rode my bike today to my doctor's office to, give him all the news. I went there to my, home to my personal doctor today. And I was like, do you know what's happened? He's like, no, what? And so I basically told him that whole story that I just told you to my doctor. And he was like, yeah, our last thing was like a Friday where the blood values were bad. And, I tried to get in contact with you. I guess that was it, So... yeah, that was it. So I guess now, that was the past month for me. So I guess you could say, June to the first couple weeks of July wasn't the best month of the past couple years. But now I'm back home. Things are looking good. I have to watch out what I do. But apparently there's no more bleeding anymore. And they've done a lot of surgeries where they think this is going to relieve a lot of the pressure. I mean, one thing I have noticed is my stomach has just gotten a lot smaller. And before it was always very large from all the pressure that was building up, you know? So I mean it's flat now, like really flat. So there's a positive side to this, that the shunt could work and could really reduce a lot of that pressure in my stomach and all that kind of stuff, and that I could have a much better quality of life. So there's always hope. So that was that. And I guess the last thing would be, so what now? Well, what's coming up next is I'm heading back to my job Monday in reinsurance. And then I kind of want to start some new things maybe with this channel. I don't know, but I would like to spend more time maybe giving updates and trying to help in ways I think I can help with some of my perspectives on having health issues, and also the things I know about maybe fitness and health and exercise and things like that. So that's probably what's coming up. And I guess the last thing would be, life is short. You never know when it's over. And I think that peaceful moment and like just really so close to death that you can smell it, and like I thought it was like that's it. I think living your life so that you're living it to the fullest can make that moment very peaceful, and which is a good thing. That's how that's how I think everyone, or definitely how I want it to be when it finally does happen. Because unfortunately, it happens to all of us, but or fortunate, who knows? Maybe that makes life so beautiful, is that that's so short. But anyway, that's it. That's everything I've been doing for the past couple years. And thanks, and I send my love to everyone, and take care.